Showmanship, grades 3 through 5. You can go ahead and enter Hensley Badel, Caroline Schutte, Jason Poe, Brooklyn Robbins, Xander Dillon, and Chase Moeller. We have 6 entries.
As you can tell, we're back with Meat Goat Showmanship here at the Decatur County Fair. We have 6 in this beginner class. They are grades 3 through 5. Hensley Badel, Carolyn Schutte, Jason Poe, Brooklyn Robbins, Xander Dillon, and Chase Moeller. You'll see that these animals are just a little different than our dairy goats. Meat goats are usually all boar, although you will see some Kikos in here, and you will also see some pygmies. Pygmies are classified as a meat goat. They're cute, they're little, but they are a meat goat, so they are judged on meat goat standards. Just like in dairy goat showmanship, you have to know your parts. You have to know how to handle your animal. You have to make sure your animal is clean. You have to be able to walk your animal and handle your animal to the best of your ability. So as we get started here, we're going to hear a word from one of our sponsors who's sponsoring our coverage of the Meat Goat Show. And we'll be right back.
Rusty Harmeyer of Halderman Real Estate Services. Halderman Real Estate Services has buyers and investors looking for row crop production acres. We have sportsmen looking for recreational and hunting properties. We have families looking for that perfect home in the country to raise their family. If you have farmland, recreational or wooded acres, or needing to downsize and sell your rural homestead, contact us today at halderman.com. Halderman can help.
So she's putting them through their drills to see how well they can walk their goats, get them set up, make sure that they are in line. I think we have some first year 4-H members in this grouping. So Xander Dillon is a first year member that's in our group here. And Chase Moeller is a first year member in the Meat Goat Show. As we said, she's putting them through their paces to see how well they can work, and then she'll go and correct them. This is all about maneuvering your animal. And as I said earlier, you'll notice that the kids are more in Western wear than in solid white. So the solid white doesn't pertain to meat goats. It only pertains to dairy goats, so that they are allowed to wear Western wear and blue jeans and Western shirts to show in. We have 6 members in here, all different levels of skills.
Decatur County Fair livestock shows are proudly sponsored by The Beach Restaurant. Located on the west side of the square, The Beach Restaurant is the only veteran-owned business on the square and is fun for the whole family. Come on out and try one of their famous tenderloins, and on Fridays, sing your heart out at karaoke. The Beach Restaurant, proudly veteran-owned, family and community-oriented.
In this showmanship class, we have several showmen in here that have done an excellent job, but this young lady, she's been quiet in this class. I haven't really noticed her, which is what I like, because you're showing your animal. You have your animal shown at all times. You have her set up very nicely. She's very calm with you. You work well with her. I see your animal, but I don't quite see you, and that's what I like in showmanship. I want you to show your animal to where all I see is the animal and not quite you, and you're doing an excellent job out here. You know your body parts. Every time I look at you, you're standing there, your goat is nice and calm, you're nice and calm, you have your goat set up to her best advantages, and so you brought yourself to that top today. 2 over 3 young showmen here, not quite as quick on changing sides as I maneuver around, but again, a young lady that does an excellent job with knowing body parts, handling her animal, having her animal set up at all times, very nicely clipped animal, very clean. So she brought herself up to that second place. 3 over 4 young gentleman that does an excellent job handling his animal, not always having her set up to her best advantage, but she is a bigger doe that is a little bit troublesome out here, not quite wanting to cooperate with him, but he's doing an excellent job handling her, keeping her under control, as well as keeping himself calm, cool, and collected out here. Not quite as quick on changing places, not quite as good at tracking me as I'm walking around the ring, knowing where I'm at, but he does an excellent job handling this animal. 4 over 5, this young showman does an excellent job handling her animal as well. You can tell she's worked with her animal, not quite as quick on maneuvers, not as smooth on maneuvers, but she does an excellent job handling that animal. Just keep practicing those body parts and maneuvers for next year. 5 over 6, this young showman has another showman with a bigger doe that does an excellent job handling that doe. He was keeping her set up to her best advantage and maneuvering her around the ring. Another showman that you can tell he's worked with this doe. Just keep working on those body parts, keep working on the maneuvers and maneuvering your animal around the ring. And then we have our young showman at the end of the line, 6th, but definitely not last, who does an excellent job in here. He's stayed calm, cool, collected. Another showman that has worked with his animal. His animal is very calm with him, stands with him. Just not quite setting that animal up to where I would like it at all times, and a little bit slower on changing places and knowing where I'm at in the ring. But overall, these 6 showmen, as they get older and as they study those body parts and work with their animals, they're going to be some tough competition as they get into the older classes.
Congratulations with the beginner showmanship. First place goes to Caroline Schutte. Second, Brooklyn Robbins. Third, Xander Dillon. Fourth, Hensley Badel. Fifth, Jason Poe. And sixth, Chase Moeller. Congratulations. We're now ready for intermediate, which is grades 6th through 8th. We have Chloe Kramer, Zeke Dillon, Tessa Moeller, Henry Schutte, Grace Nobby, and Caroline Schutte is invited to move up in this class, which she is.
So we have 6 entrants into this class now. And you'll see the level of expertise will rise as they come up. And once again, Kelsey Wobold is our judge. Kelsey is from Greenwood, Indiana, a 10-year 4-H member. She was a member of the FFA, an FFA officer. And she graduated from Western Kentucky University with an animal science degree. She and her husband have 2 children, and she raised Nubians and boars. So she is quite familiar with this breed as well as the dairy goat show that she was in earlier. She's asking these young 4-Hers questions just as she did in earlier showmanship. She wants to know body parts. She wants to see what they know about their animal. Looks like we have a pygmy in this grouping. There are definitely different sizes of pygmy goats, and some are larger than others, and so it looks like she has the larger type of pygmy. This young lady does. She's checking hooves. She's checking to make sure they're clean. So now she's going to have them walk. Remember, these are in grades 6 through 8, for the exception of Caroline Schutte. And she came in from our beginning showmanship class. Most of these are boar influenced, with the exception of our pygmy. Showmanship is one of those things where we want to look at the animal. We're not necessarily looking at the showman. We're looking at the showman, not the animal. We want to see how well the showman can move on the fly. If they can set themselves up quickly, if they're keeping their eye on the judge. They also use different collar types in the boar goat classes. You'll see them having more of a chain type collar on them. Doesn't hurt the animal. It just keeps them under control. Just for some showmanship tips to the people who are watching, one of the things you don't want to do is cross behind your animal. You always cross in front. You don't step over your animal. You always cross in front. And as I said earlier, you want to make it like your peanut butter and jelly. You're on the opposite side of the animal that the judge is. The judge is judging the animal and not you, but you're always in between. So she's probably going to do some more maneuvering skills with this group. Young lady with the pygmy doing a nice job of getting her animal down there and back in line, getting her reset up. Definitely some new skills that need to be taught. Young lady doing a good job of getting her animal moved up so that Zeke could get his animal there. So Kelsey's checking to see if they know how to move their animals and to move. A flashy looking boar there with a red leg. Boar goats are typically white-bodied with red heads. That's called a traditional. They can be solid red. They can be solid black. They can be black paints. They can be red paints. The one that Tessa has at the beginning is called a black dapple. I'm a little more familiar with boar goats than I am with dairy goats. My family has been raising boar goats for about the last 26 years. So, and I have judged also, so kind of understanding what she is doing. And so she's got her lines placed up. It looks like our little girl with the pygmy will be our first place winner in this, I do believe. Next up will be our seniors, and we have 6, maybe.
This class a round of applause as well. In this class, the showman. One placing over to this young lady does an excellent job handling this pygmy, whether she does an excellent job showing him, making sure he is set up at all times, he is correctly groomed, his feet are correctly trimmed, as well as she is very knowledgeable about the body parts. And as she maneuvers around the ring, she's a lot smoother than some of the showmen that stand behind her. 2 over 3 young gentleman that does an excellent job handling this doe. He has her set up at all times. He is constantly checking her. She's very well groomed, very clean. Feet, again, very well trimmed. And a showman that does an excellent job handling this doe. Knew his body parts, not quite as smooth on maneuvering his animal, especially in the side-by-side lineup. And that kind of edged you down a little bit. She got you on that one. But he does an excellent job handling and showing this animal out here. These first 2 showmen are some tough competition between the 2 of them. 3 over 4, this young man does an excellent job handling this little doe, having her set up at all times, a little bit smoother, maneuvering around the ring than we do see in our 4th showman. But he has a few more years on our 4th place showman. But he does an excellent job handling this animal. 4 over 5, our showman that moved up from the last class does an excellent job handling this animal. She's in with some tougher competition, some older kids out here that have a little more experience in the show ring, but she does an excellent job, and she held her own out here. Just keep practicing those body parts for next year. 5 over 6, the showman here does an excellent job setting her animal up. You can tell she has worked with her animal. She and her animal are very calm, just not quite as smooth on maneuvering around the ring and making those maneuvers, and then just keep practicing those body parts. And then we have our showman in 6th place, definitely not last. She does an excellent job with this animal. Again, a showman that has worked with her animal works with her. Just keep practicing on setting that animal up, maneuvering that animal around the ring, being more graceful with maneuvering that animal, and then just keep practicing those body parts for next year.
In the intermediate showmanship, 1st place goes to Chloe Kramer. 2nd, Zeke Dillon. 3rd, Henry Schutte. 4th, Caroline Schutte. 5th, Grace Nobby. And 6th, Tessa Moeller. Congratulations. We're now ready for our senior showmanship. Our senior showmanship, grades 9 through 12. We have Ariana Thomas, Timothy Pratt, Maddie Brusaw, Arden Muckerhide, Reese Beaver, and Chloe Kramer. This is senior showmanship, grades 9 through 12.
So we have some familiar names in our senior showmanship. We have the Brusaws, who have done well over the last several years. And we have Reese Beaver and Tim Pratt with their pygmies. So these are ones that have their families have invested lots of time and to keep their stock going. And once again, you're going to see different people setting them up differently as you go around. You have does in here, you have pygmies, and you have a wether. So they're all set up just a little bit differently than normal. Not each one is going to be put the same way. While she's doing that, we'll have a word from one of our sponsors.
Gemstone Feed is your local grain elevator, and we are currently purchasing corn for feed. We have the best basis in the area, along with a high-capacity dump pit to ensure a smooth delivery with minimal wait times. We are located at 5062 West Base Road, just 3 miles west of the intersection at West Main Street and Bypass 3. To learn more about marketing your grain with us, please contact one of our grain representatives at 812-663-5175 or visit our website, gemstone.ag, to see current cash bids.
Some very fine showmen in this group. Remember that the winner of our overall showman and meet showmanship will be going on to the Tom Swain next week. We already have the first person from the Dairy Goats that will be in Tom Swain, and that was Lainey Ferris. She was the winner. So after Expert Showman, we will find out who our second person is going to Tom Swain. Okay, so now they're going to start doing their maneuvering. For these older goat showmen, showmanship is a very huge deal. Getting to go to Tom Swain is a very large accomplishment. You can see a really nice lineup of how these goats are setting up between does and wethers and pygmies. A really nice representation of the pygmy breed in here as well. Things that we're looking for when we get to judging these as animals and not on the showmanship part is we're looking for nice, strong top lines. Right now we're looking at maneuverability. Is the showman smooth? Does he transition well? Is he keeping his eye on the judge? Does his animal know what to expect? Several of these in this level of showmanship go to open shows. Compete with other boar goats, compete with other wethers, compete with other pygmies. As this show goes on, you'll see animals that are groomed to perfection because they want them to look their very best. Excellent job in showmanship here. If you notice, they're keeping their eye on the judge. They're moving purposefully. They know where their animal is. They know where the judge is. One of these will go on to the expert showmanship to join Charlie Kramer and Tinsley Brusaw. That's what's on the line for them. For some of them, this is their last chance at getting to go to expert showmanship. Tim Pratt, who is in this is his last year of showing. So Claire is being purposeful and making sure that they all are getting a fair shake. And while Kelsey is still discussing, we'll hear from one of our sponsors.
Halderman Real Estate and Farm Management brings over 90 years of experience and industry knowledge to you and your operation. Whether it's assisting you with selling your farm or providing you with farm management solutions, serving our clients remain our priority. Whether it's equipment, agricultural real estate, recreational real estate, or even that rural residential housing, Halderman can help. Contact us today at halderman.com.
Please remember to visit our sponsors and tell them to thank them for their coverage of the fair shows. This is just one of the first fair shows. Just double checking to make sure. That's where she wants them. And she's made her spots.
All right, let's give this a very tough class a round of applause today. Out here from top to bottom, these 6 showmen, they worked for it. It's a very tough class. My placings are out here have come down to nitpicking between each placing because all of these showmen out here they're good. They're knowledgeable. They're smooth. And so it just came down to nitpicking. But today, 1 over 2, our young gentleman here to head off the line, very knowledgeable, very smooth with his answers, very calm, very cool, very collected, does an excellent job handling this doe, setting this doe up to her best. She was giving him a little bit of a headache walking around the ring, but he stuck with her. He corrected her. He kept going. He kept watching me. He kept cool with it. He does an excellent job handling her. Talking to him, very smooth on his answers, very direct. So he definitely pulled himself up, but this is a very close placing between 1 and 2. Our second place handler, again, another showman that is very smooth handling these pygmies. Sometimes pygmies, especially with showing on collars and leashes, they can go a little rogue. But these 2 young gentlemen, they do an excellent job handling these does. You can tell that they have worked with them. They continue to work with them out here. They may not always want to stand, but these 2 gentlemen do an excellent job staying with these does, correcting them, making sure they look good at all times. Again, second place showman, very collected in his answers, maybe a little shaky on some of the answers, but he knew his knowledge. He knew his stuff. He knew what he was going to tell me, and he did an excellent job. 3 over 4, this young lady does an excellent job with this weather. Again, very knowledgeable, knowing her body parts. I went through and asked what they liked and disliked about their animals, and she, again, was very technical when she gave me her answer, just not quite as smooth on doing some of the maneuvers as the gentleman in front of her, but she does an excellent job handling that animal. When it comes to bracing that animal, when I approach, she does an excellent job bracing that animal to make him look his best. 4 over 5, this young lady with this big doe, again, a showman that has worked with her animal. She does an excellent job showing her animal, keeping her set up at all times. Not quite as smooth on maneuvers, not quite as smooth on the answer and body parts, but again, another showman that did an excellent job. 5 over 6, this young lady does an excellent job handling this weather. Not quite as smooth as maneuvering him around the ring, moving him into the different positions. But again, her answer to my question was very well thought, and she answered it very well. And we have our young showman that moved up from the last class in 6. Again, a showman that does an excellent job. She just came into a very tough showmanship class with 5 other senior showmen that have the skills and that knowledge that etched her out a little bit. But a showman that, again, was knowledgeable. She told me what she liked and disliked about her animal. Just keep working on those body parts, working on terminology, and she's going to be tough competition for next year as well. But overall, these 6 showmen did an excellent job. Any day, you can rearrange this lineup pretty easily. All these showmen are very tough showmen. There's a lot of competition out here today, so you should be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Congratulations. First place goes to Reese Beaver. Second, Ty Pratt. Third, Maddie Broussard. Fourth, Ariana Thomas. Fifth, Arden Muckerhide. And sixth, Chloe Kramer. Congratulations. We're now ready for our expert showmanship. In this class, this will be The winner of this class will be who represents the meat goats in the Tom Swain show. So we have 3 entries: Charlie Kramer, Tinsley Broussard, and then Reese Beaver is moving up.
So,
Are here today helping out with our show. Miss Decatur County 2023, Madeline Bowman. We appreciate Madeline being here today. 2022 4-H Queen, Savannah Bauer. Miss Decatur County first runner-up, Kaylee Smith. And Miss Decatur County second runner-up, Grace Young. We appreciate you for ladies being here today. Our judge is Kelsey Wolbolt from Greenwood, Indiana. She's a 10-year 4-H member, FFA member, and officer. She has a bachelor's degree in animal science from Western Kentucky University and has raised Boers and Nubians. Also, if you want to sign up for the adult old-timers showmanship, it is $5 to sign someone up. And if they want out, it's $10 to get out. It's over by the doors between this building and the goat barn. And the junior leaders are sponsoring this. And again, we'll need everyone at the end of the show to stay for awards. We'll hand those out.
so we have 3 different kinds of animals in the ring. We have a Bordeaux, we have a boar wether, and we have a pygmy doe. So each of them are showed differently. So it will take expertise to be able to handle all 3 of them, because you know that she's going to have them switch off as she did in the dairy goat class to see if they can handle all of the other breeds that are in here. Charlie is a 10-year member. I'm not sure how old Tinsley is. And Reese, I'm going to assume that he is probably almost a 10-year member. Probably will be next year. But each of these are set up differently, shown differently. On a Bordeaux, you want to make sure that they're square, that their legs are not too far out in front of them. A wether, you're going to want to make sure that they are square as well, but they get braced. Pygmy does need to be square, and their legs not too far out from behind them or in front of them. There's a fine line. I know Tinsley has probably spent hours practicing with her wether to get him to brace well. And Reese and Charlie the same. These are 3 families that have been raising goats for a very long time. As I said before, there are approximately 40 members in the Goat Club. So at the end of the conclusion of this program, you will have seen all 40 members out here in some capacity. Several 10-year members. 10-year members are William Cathy, Charlie Kramer, Michael Kopinski, Tim Pratt, and Claire Spreckelson. First-year members, those just getting started, are Nolan Clark, Riley Denton, Ava Doig, Evan Kors, Chase Moeller, Levi Nobby, Jason Poe, Reed Whipple, and Xander Dillon. So it looks like the Goat Club is alive and well with that many first-year members. When you get to experts level, you have to know your stuff. What's at stake for each one of these is the chance to be in Tom Swain. At the and now we're getting ready to do the switch off. So now this is where we're going to see what kind of a showman they are. You can tell that they've been through this before because before they took their animal into their hand, they inspected the animal before they took a hold of the lead to make sure they knew how the animal was set up. This is going to be a very tough class for Kelsey. One of them will probably have to make a huge mistake. Reminds me of the old song Anticipation. I think she's made her placings.
All right, let's give this class a round of applause as well. Another very tough class of showmen out here, which they should be. They're in master. Only 3 showmen out here this time. All 3 showmen have done an excellent job. Again, comes down to nitpicking, smoothness of handling the different animals, how well you're setting those animals up, smoothness of answering questions. And this young gentleman really pulled himself to the top with how smooth he shows. He really shows this animal, but he doesn't overshow to where he's making himself seen. He makes his goat seen. Every time I look over, I see his goat. I don't see him showing. And that's what really pulled him forward. The smoothness of his answering, how he handles the animal, how he handles the other 2 animals as well. I had them switch with having a pygmy. We've got, you know, a breeding doe, we've got a pygmy, and we have a market animal in here. And so kind of 3 different styles of showing, and so that's why I had them trade off goats as well, as to see how each of them would handle each animal, and not just their own animal. And this young gentleman did an excellent job with each animal. The pygmy, again, not quite wanting to walk around the ring, not quite wanting to work as well, but he handled her very nicely. 2 over 3, our senior showman that moved up. Again, a gentleman that does an excellent job, very smooth maneuvering around. It just came down to smoothness of answers, smoothness of moving around the ring, that kind of thing. But this young gentleman does an excellent job handling. Coming from showing pygmies, he did an excellent job handling these boar animals as well. Then we have our 3rd place showman. Again, definitely not last. She does an excellent job handling this weather. She did a wonderful job handling the other 2. Struggled a little bit with the pygmy, but the pygmies can, they can have a mind of their own sometimes, but she did an excellent job. She recovered. She stayed calm, cool, and collected with that pygmy. Just came down to knowledge of body parts. But she did an excellent job explaining what she liked and disliked about her weather. She was very technical, and I appreciate that. All 3 of these showmen did an excellent job. Out here, they're all 3 very tough competition.
Congratulations to first place, Charlie Kramer. Second, Reese Beaver. And third, Tinsley Broussall. Charlie will be representing the meat goat in Tom Swain. All right. We'll give them a minute to get back, and we're ready to start our junior meat doe show. We'll start with class 1, which is 0 to 3 months, pygmies. That's class. They're doing the Boer goats.
So we are going to start with 0 to 3 month boars, not pygmies. We have 6 entries. We have Grace Nobby, Michael Kopinski, Lainey Ferris, Ezek Dillon, and Xander Dillon. So these are 0 to 3 months.
All right, in this class, our 0 to 3 month Boers, we have 6 entries. Grace Nobby, Michael Kopinski, Lainey Ferris with 2 entries, Zeke Dillon, and Xander Dillon. And these are 0 to 3 month olds.
Sometimes little goats have a mind of their own. So while she's evaluating this class, we're going to listen to one of our sponsors. Please remember to go by and tell them thank you for supporting the Decatur County Fair and WTRE's broadcasting.
Pavey Stockyards, a locally owned and operated business for over 70 years, is currently buying all classes of livestock. Located at 324 West McKee Street in Greensburg, Pavey's has a rich history in Decatur County. Pavey's stockyard owner Alan Meyer, along with cattle buyer Carl Meyer, secretary-treasurer Carol Narwald, and barn manager Larry Lawson conduct business daily and invite you to call 812-663-4611 for current pricing.
So now she's having them walk some more. As I said, 0 to 3 month old, they tend to have a mind of their own.
In her first class aboard does one placing over to really stylish doe to head off the line. I really like the femininity about the head type on this doe. She's carrying a longer, leaner neck, more smoothly blended into that front end assembly. When you get your hands on her, she's just showing us a little more width across that top line than we do see in our second place. 2 over 3, this doe here is more balanced. She's just stronger in that front end, showing us a little more width into that front end than we do see in our third place doe. 3 over 4, this doe here is a little more correct in head and breed type, a little more correct in coloration than we do see in our fourth place doe. 4 over 5, this doe here, she's stronger across that top line than we do see in our fifth place doe. She's stronger in those feet and legs, showing us more width, especially across that top line in the area of the rump than we do see in our fifth place. 5 over 6, overall showing us more width into the chest floor, width across that top line than we do see in our sixth place. Our sixth place animal, I do appreciate the strength in those feet and legs. We're just not seeing the overall correctness and balance to move her any higher today.
In this class, first place goes to Grace Nobby, second, Xander Dillon, third, Zeke Dillon, fourth, and fifth, Laney Ferris, and sixth, Michael Kopinski. We're now ready for class 4, which is 3 to 6 month old pygmy does. 3 to 6 month pygmy does. We have 3 entries: Ariana Thomas, Reese Bieber, and Ty Pratt.
As I said, 0 to 3 months, they're a little bit unpredictable. I guess these are 3 to 6 months, but they are still a little bit unpredictable. They're just babies. And they don't all like to walk on a lead yet. Just takes lots of practice. You can tell the beaver and the Pratts, they've been around pygmies a long time, just by the way they're showing. Takes a lot of patience with younger does. Once again, at the end of the goat show, everybody will be getting their awards and trophies. The sponsors for those are Wessler Excavating, Dillon Family Farm, Dillon Acres, KECMR, Hillbilly Corner, Lowe's Pellets and Grain, Rural King, Teb Creek Farm, Max and Claire Thompson, in memory of Becca Wessel, and Diamond Beef Boars and Stellar Showstock. All of these families, farms, businesses have contributed to the goat program to supply prizes for the goat showmen and their placings. And so she's made her placings on this group of pygmy does 3 to 6 months.
In this class of pygmy does, one placing over two, I really admire the overall width of this first place pygmy. She sits a little more squarely on those feet and legs. I am going to yield a little more free movement in the front end on those front legs to our second place doe. She moves with a little more easement in that front end than we do see on our first. But our first over our second, I just really admire the overall width. She's a little more smoothly blended in that front end from that neck into that shoulder set than we do see in our second place doe. 2 over 3, she is stronger on head and breed characteristics. She's more of that true body style of the pygmy that we're wanting to see. She's showing us more overall width, especially in the area of the chest, than we do see in our third place animal. Our third place doe here, I do want to commend her for the strength in those feet and legs. We're just not quite seeing the body capacity and their overall width throughout to move her any higher today.
In this class, first place goes to Reese Beaver, second, Ty Pratt, and third, Ariana Thomas. We're now ready for class 5, which is 3 to 6 month old Boer does. We have 13 entries in this class. It's a big class. Hensley Badel, Caroline Schutte, Ariana Thomas, Chase Moeller, Tessa Moeller, Charlie Kramer, Chloe Kramer, Benjamin Boner, Nora Amberger with 2 entries, Arden Muckerhide, Henry Schutte, and Camille Deaton.
This is a big class, so you're going to see all sizes. Even though they're 3 to 6 months, there can be a huge body swing between a 3-month-old and a 6-month-old. So it will take her a while to evaluate all of these. And while she's evaluating, we're going to go to one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
Halderman Real Estate and Farm Management brings over 90 years of experience and industry knowledge to you and your operation. Whether it's assisting you with selling your farm or providing you with farm management solutions, serving our clients remain our priority. Whether it's equipment, agricultural real estate, recreational real estate, or even that rural residential housing, Halderman can help. Contact us today at halderman.com.
So we are back with our goats, and she is going down the line, evaluating each of these little does. She feels to see how wide their loin is, what kind of meat coverage they have. Things that are upcoming at the fair this week. We had 6 o'clock tonight, they're going to be crowning the 4-H royalty, and they'll be presenting Miss Decatur County and her court. That'll be at the Farm and Home building. Tomorrow morning, I take that back. Let's see. Yeah, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock is the dairy show here in the Livestock Pavilion. And at 5 o'clock tomorrow night, we start our big swine show with showmanship and county born and bred show. So those are things that are upcoming this weekend here at the Decatur County Fair. And tonight, all rides take one ticket. So that opens at 6 o'clock. It's called Thrifty Thursday. So lots of things happening at the Decatur County Fair this week and this weekend. So if you haven't made plans, please make sure that you come out and enjoy the fair. Remember, there's no fair admission, but parking is $5. Lots of goats to look at in this class. Remember, there won't be any maneuvering in this class. She's totally looking at what the animal looks like, how much coverage, top line, hooks to pins, width of the front end. It's all about animal structure. Remember, our judge is Kelsey Wilbolt from Greenwood. I'm sure she's getting tired. She's been here all day, like most of us. But for her, being in the ring, it takes a lot of time and energy. The next class coming up will be 6 to 9 month old Bordeaux. Be a little smaller class. There's only 5 in that class. This is by far the largest class we've had all day. Most of these does were probably born in January, December, January, February. That's when most people have kidding season. So there's always a large grouping for that 3 to 6 month old class. I mean, yeah, 3 to 6 months. Always a large class. 6 to 9 month olds are going to be those that are born last fall. So she's weeding through the goats that she wants to look at. Give them another once over. It's called sifting. She is sifting through the class. Normally she has gone from first to last. This time she's gone from last and she's going up the line, picking the ones that she likes. So it's a little different than she's done it in the past all day. But when you have this many, you have to kind of do that. Having been a judge, I don't envy her having a class this large. These are does that have probably the best top lines and the best structure that are being looked at right now. As I said, you want a good top line. You want to see it blending from their neck down into their chest floor. You want to see that blending. They want a good loin. Each judge has their own way of doing things. But in the end, the top goat is the top goat. And I think now she's going to probably have them walk to make sure she's happy with her placings. Not an easy place to be in. Once again, this is the largest class we've had all day, so she's going to take a little extra time to make sure she's got the placings right and she's happy with them. And she's having them walk one more time. Oh, healthy like
have been signed up: Jude Beaver, Emma Nobby, Lizzie Nobby, Ashley Dillon, Hannah Fuel, Macy Kinker, Katie Spreckelson, Ella Kuntz, and Melly Collin. So they have been signed up, and that is in the doors between this barn and the goat barn.
We have a large class of Bordeaux in here. I kind of place them backwards at first just to kind of weed out my weaker ones to make it a little bit easier in this large class, because we're looking at a lot in here. But today I'm placing over to really stylish doe here to head off the line. I really like the femininity about this doe. She has beautiful head and breed characteristics. She's a bigger bone doe, bigger footed doe. She's more balanced than we see in our second place doe. 2 over 3, this doe here, showing us a lot more width. Again, a doe that's a little more balanced than we see in our third place doe. She's a little more feminine, look cleaner headed than we do see in our third place doe. 3 over 4, this doe here, showing us more overall width. She's more balanced throughout. When you get behind these two does, she's showing us more shape into that rear leg and into the area of the rump than we do see in our fourth place. 4 over 5, this doe here, showing us more balance, more strength. She's showing us more bone structure than we do see in our fifth place. 5 over 6, this doe here, stronger across that top line. She's not breaking down as much into the area of the chine than we do see in our sixth place. 6 over 7, this doe here, showing us more width, more balance throughout, especially when it comes to the area of the rump. Our chocolate over, our cream and white doe here, she's showing us more width into the area of the chest when you get in front of them. She tracks around the ring. She tracks with a little more ease into the area of that front end assembly than we do see in our cream and white. Our cream and white over our red and white paint doe. Here, she's more showing us more balance. She's longer bodied. She tracks around the ring. She really comes into herself. She levels out a little bit more. She's stronger on those feet and legs, showing us a bigger hoof than we do see in our red and white. Our red and white over our black and white paint doe. She comes together a little bit better than we do see in our black doe. She's wider into the area of the chest floor than we see in our black and white. Our black and white over our red doe, our deep red doe, wider based. She's shown us more width into the chest floor. It follows through across that top line. She's stronger across that top line, where we see our red doe, our deep red doe, breaking down into that chine. She's higher in the hip than what I would like to see. I'd like to level her out a little bit more, give her a little more angulation into that hind leg. Our deep red over our red doe here, second to the end. This doe showing us more width, more growth, more length. She has more bone size than we do see in our red doe second to the end. Our second to the end over to the end doe here, she's a bigger body doe, bigger bone. She's more level across that top line, has more of that natural slope to the area of the rump than we do see in the doe standing at the end of the line. The doe standing at the end of the line, I do admire her overall width. She doesn't have that bone size. She doesn't have that structure size. She doesn't quite have that balance throughout to move her any higher today.
All right, in this class, first place goes to Ariana Thomas. Second, Charlie Kramer. Third, Chloe Kramer. Fourth, Nora Amberger. Fifth, Nora Amberger. Sixth, Chase Moeller. Seventh, Benjamin Boner. Eighth, Arden Muckerhide. Ninth, Henry Schutte. 10th, Tessa Moeller. 11th, Hensley Badel. 12th, Camille Deaton. And 13th, Caroline Schutte. We are now ready for Class 8, which is 6 to 9 month old Bordeaux. 6 to 9 month Bordeaux. We have 5 entries. Caroline Schutte, Zeke Dillon with 2 entries, Xander Dillon, and Arden Muckerhide. Go ahead and enter, please.
have 5 entries in this class. 6 to 9 months, as I said, these would have been born last fall. Caroline Schutte, Zeke Dillon with 2 entries, Xander Dillon with an entry, and Arden Muckerhide.
Rusty Harmeyer of Halderman Real Estate Services. Halderman Real Estate Services has buyers and investors looking for row crop production acres. We have sportsmen looking for recreational and hunting properties. We have families looking for that perfect home in the country to raise their family. If you have farmland, recreational or wooded acres, or needing to downsize and sell your rural homestead, contact us today at halderman.com. Halderman can help.
This is day 1 of Decatur County Fair. Starting off with this large goat show today. Tomorrow in this arena in the morning will be the Dairy Cattle Show. Tomorrow night will begin the Swine Show. Swine Show will also be on Saturday. Sheep Show on Sunday. Of course, there are horse and pony activities going on as well. And it's Thrifty Thursday on the Midway, so each ride costs 1 ticket tonight. Be a good night to come out and enjoy the fair. Kelsey doing an excellent job of sifting through all the goats that she's had today. Not an easy job. So we're taking another lap around the ring. She wants to make sure she's got her decisions. Been some really good looking boar goats this year. I don't envy her making her decisions.
Gemstone Feed is your local grain elevator, and we are currently purchasing corn for feed. We have the best basis in the area, along with a high-capacity dump pit to ensure a smooth delivery with minimal wait times. We are located at 5062 West Base Road, just 3 miles west of the intersection at West Main Street and Bypass 3. To learn more about marketing your grain with us, please contact one of our grain representatives at 812-663-5175 or visit our website, gemstone.ag, to see current cash bids.
The next class we have coming up after this class will be 18 to 20, oh no, I take that back, 12 to 18-month-old Bordeaux, and we'll have 2 entries in that. Quite a lot of Bordeaux this year, not so many pygmies, it seems like. Okay, I think she has made her decision.
In this class of Bordeaux, one placing over to a really wide doe. She's showing us a lot of power into that front end, a little more balance than we see in our second place doe. I am going to commend the strength across the area of the chine to our second place doe. But our first place doe, she's just a little bit bigger boned. She's showing us just a little more length of body, a little more width throughout than we do see in our second place. 2 over 3 this doe here, more balance than our third place doe. Stronger in the area of that chine. She walks, as she tracks around the ring, she tracks a little more square and a little more steady on those feet and legs than we do see in our third place doe. 3 over 4 this doe here, stronger across that top line. She's shown us more width, especially in the area of that chest floor, than we do see in our fourth place. 4 over 5, a bigger body doe. She's shown us more length of body, a little more balance than we see in our fifth place doe. She stands with a little more correctness overall. Our fifth place doe, I really admire the body capacity and depth of body on this doe. We're just not quite seeing that balance and bone structure to place her any higher today.
In this class, first place, Dillon, third, Zeke Dillon, fourth, Xander Dillon, and fifth, Caroline Schutte. We're now ready for class 14. We have 2 entries, and it's 12 to 18-month-old boers. Ariana Thomas with 1 entry and Jason Poe with an entry. And these are 12 to 18-month-olds.
So we have 2 entries into this. 2 entries in this class. So once again, these are does that are at least a year old, if not a year and a half old. Looking for structural correctness, good top lines, a good blending from neck into shoulders. We want a good chest floor is what we're looking at. Something with body capacity. And this young little paint doe easily wins over the traditional doe. Just a lot wider based doe.
in this class of Bordeaux. One placing over two, I really admire the width throughout on this doe. She's shown us more width into the area of the brisket and into the chest. She's a bigger bone doe. She's bigger footed than we see in our second place doe. We are going to yield the femininity and the cleanliness about the head to our second place doe. Our second place doe, she's just not quite showing us that body capacity and that depth of body and the width throughout for her to move any higher, but I do want to admire the femininity about her head and the strength across that top line today.
In this class, first place goes to Jason Poe, second, Ariana Thomas. Our next class is class 17, 18 to 24-month-old Bordeaux. We have 5 entries. Chloe Kramer, Zeke Dillon with 2, Xander Dillon, and Henry Schutte. This is our last class. So at the conclusion of this class, we'll go back and pick our grand champion and reserve grand champion pygmy doe. So we'll need all first and second place ready, and then we'll do our champion and reserve champion junior boer doe. And then we'll also have a grand and reserve champion junior commercial doe.
So we have 5 entries into this, and these are going to be a 1.5 to 2-year-old does. Some of these does are bigger than our competitors. As I said, we're looking for a good top line. We're looking for a good loin. We're looking how that neck blends in, head and neck blends into the rest of the body. We're looking for some width, nice bone structure. Those are all things to consider.
We have some more raffle winners. When I call your name, you've got something up here. You can pick one item off of the raffle table. Allison Badel, Riley Hash, Mason Kuntz, Nolan Hash, and Grace Snobby.
Please make sure that you visit our sponsors of today's broadcast and tell them thank you for having us on the air and having us live streamed. For those of you who are at home or at work and watching this, this is our class of 18 to 24-month-old. And after this class, we'll be having all the first and seconds back in for our junior pygmy doe drive and our junior Bordeaux drive. There were no commercial Bordeaux in this competition, so it's either junior pygmy doe or junior does, and then we'll go to senior does and senior pygmies. Tonight at the fair, remember that it is Thrifty Thursday. All rides take 1 ticket. That will open at 6 o'clock tonight. At 6 o'clock also is the 23 crowning of the 4-H royalty and the presentation of Miss Decatur County and her court in the Farm and Home building. Tomorrow there'll be the dairy show here in the Livestock Pavilion starting at 11 o'clock. And then tomorrow night will be the swine show with the County Born and Bred show. So all that takes place tomorrow here at the Decatur County Fair. Remember, there is no admission fee, but parking is $5 when you come this evening. Sunday, we have the big fair parade. I think there's over 100 entries in the fair parade this year, so that would be a good time to come out and support some of the local businesses and the local 4-H clubs that will be in that parade. I think she's getting ready to make some of her final decisions. Some really nice looking Bordeauxs in this class. When you judge this class, you look at them and you say, if I was going to pick a doe to take home to be in my herd, which doe would I want in my herd to help improve my herd? So you're looking for breed standards, you're looking for width, you're looking for power, you're looking for a nice long neck. You want them level top-sided. You want some width. Not every judge agrees. On what is you want in a herd. As I said, some of these does are bigger than their competitors. And it takes time when you judge. Stands aren't quite as full as they once were. But we still have a lot of people here around, standing and sitting in the stands. And I think she's made her decision.
In this class of Bordeauxs, one placing over to this doe here, just a little more balanced. She's more feminine about that head. She's cleaner about that head and neck. I am going to grant her second place doe for the levelness across that top line. But our first place doe, she is standing a little downhill, standing here, but she is stronger on those feet and legs. She has shown us a tremendous amount of depth of body, especially into that rear flank than we see over our second place doe. 2 over 3, this doe here is carrying a lot less excess weight. She is going to grant the overall width to our third place doe, but 2 over 3, this doe here is more balanced throughout. She's more smoothly blended. She's cleaner about that head and neck than we do see in our third place doe. 3 over 4, this doe here, a major powerhouse of a doe, but she has too much weight on her. I'd like to see her more slimmed down, a little bit cleaner, especially in the area of that throat, to move her any higher today. But a doe that is showing us a lot of overall width, but she falls apart a little bit once we get into those hind legs. She narrows out a little bit than we see in the 2 does that stand ahead of her today. 4 over 5, this doe here, she's stronger across that top line, a little more balanced than we see in our 5th place doe. She's stronger on those feet and legs, and just a little cleaner about the area of the brisket than we do see in our 5th place doe. Our 5th place doe, I want to admire the depth of body on this doe and the body capacity. We're just not quite seeing that balance and that bone structure to move her any higher today.
And there we have it. So
In this class, first place goes to Zeke Dillon. Second, Zeke Dillon. Third, Chloe Kramer. Fourth, Xander Dillon. And fifth, Henry Schutte.
So Zeke
We are
has
now
first and
ready
second.
to do our selection for the grand champion and reserve grand champion junior pygmy does. So we need the first and. Are you doing boers or pygmies? Pygmies. Doing the junior doe. Boer doe. So first and second place, junior boer does. Go ahead and enter the ring.
So we're getting set up for our junior grand drive. After this will be our pygmy drive. This is always the longest show. We are just gotten through the junior show right now. After this will be the senior meat doe show for breeding.
Gemstone Feed is your local grain elevator, and we are currently purchasing corn for feed. We have the best basis in the area, along with a high-capacity dump pit to ensure a smooth delivery with minimal wait times. We are located at 5062 West Base Road, just 3 miles west of the intersection at West Main Street and Bypass 3. To learn more about marketing your grain with us, please contact one of our grain representatives at 812-663-5175 or visit our website, gemstone.ag, to see current cash bids.
Okay, we're taking a lap around. She wants to see how they're on the move. These are all of our first place does. So we're getting them all set up, and she'll be picking her grand and reserve does. And I think she's got it. Well, maybe. Double checking one more time. And I believe she's got it.
We have our lineup out here for Grand and Reserve Champion boar does. In our first place lineup, we have a little bit of variation. We have a lot of our does are showing us the strength across that top line, strength in feet and legs, tremendous amount of body capacity and depth of body throughout. When you look at these does from the front, we're showing a lot of width into that area, brisket and chest floor. You get behind these does, they're showing us a lot of width that follows all the way through across that top line and into the area of the rump. But there's one doe out here that's just a little more balanced throughout. She's stronger on those feet and legs, sits a little more square on those feet and legs. She's showing us a little more cleanliness about that front end. And that's going to be my little doe in the center of the ring today for my Grand.
So Arden Meckerhide.
And as we pull her out, we take a look at the doe that stood second to her. Again, I'm going to use a doe that's showing us, again, a balance throughout. She's showing us the strength across that top line, the strength in those feet and legs. And I'm actually going to stay within that class for my reserve today.
And second is from that same class.
Yep.
And that is Zeke Dillon who had that. So Arden Meckerhide with Grand Junior Doe and Zeke Dillon with Reserve Grand.
Arden Muckerhide, and our reserve grand champion boar doe goes to Zeke Dillon. Congratulations. We're now ready for our junior pygmy doe grand and reserve grand champion.
Or we have our two pygmy does out here for our Grand and Reserve, and I'm going to keep them first and second Grand and Reserve. Two beautiful does out here. They're showing us a lot of qualities, their strengths across that top line, a lot of width throughout, the strengths in those feet and legs. Our Grand's going to be standing just a little bit square on those feet and legs, a little more smoothly blended than we do see in our Reserve. But I want to admire the overall width and balance on our Reserve today.
So Reese Beaver with your Grand and Ty Pratt with your Reserve.
Our grand champion goes to Reese Beaver, and our reserve champion goes to Ty Pratt. All right, we are now ready to move into our senior meat doe show. Our first class is class 22, 2 years and under 3. We have, this is a 2 years and under 3-year-old pygmy. We have Ariana Thomas, Reese Beaver, and Ty Pratt in this class.
And while we're waiting for them to come in, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors.
Decatur County Fair livestock shows are proudly sponsored by The Beach Restaurant. Located on the west side of the square, The Beach Restaurant is the only veteran-owned business on the square and is fun for the whole family. Come on out and try one of their famous tenderloins, and on Fridays, sing your heart out at karaoke. The Beach Restaurant, proudly veteran-owned, family and community-oriented.
And we are back. So here comes Reese Beaver. There is Ty Pratt. And we have one more. think Ariana is making her way here. I'm not sure. Yes, there she is. Well, maybe. She must have been scratched from this class. Looks like Ty will be first over his cousin Reese.
Over to, I really admire the overall width on this first place doe. As she tracks to you from the front, she tracks a little bit straighter on those legs. She sits a little square on those legs than we do see on our second doe. She's stronger across that top line. I would like to see less weight on her. She's a little bit heavier than what I would like, but she is going to excel in overall structure than we do see in our second place doe. Our second place doe, I really admire the femininity about the head type on this doe. She is tracking with less weight on her. Not quite as straight in those legs as I would like to see that we do see on our first place doe, but she does sit squarely on those feet and legs. And I really admire the body capacity and overall width on their second place doe, just not quite showing the straightness as she tracks forward to you, and just the levelness across that top line, especially in the area of the rump, than we do see in our second place or our first place doe.
In this class, first place goes to Ty Pratt, second, Reese Beaver. We're now ready for 2 and under 3-year-old Boer doe. We have one entry, Lainey Ferris.
Well, I think we have two.
We have 2 entries, Lainey Ferris and Ariana Thomas.
Ariana. And she's made her decision pretty quickly.
In this class of Boer does, one placing over 2, we have more of our traditional red and white. She's more true to head and breed characteristics. She's stronger across that top line, especially in the area of the chine, showing us more width into that chest floor and across that top line than we do see in our second place doe. Our second place doe, I want to admire that depth of body on her. She's just not quite showing us the overall width and correctness and breed type to carry her any higher today.
So Ariana Thomas is first, I do believe, and Lainey Ferris.
In this
is
class,
second.
first place went to Ariana Thomas, second, Lainey Ferris. We're now ready for class 25, which is 3 years and under 4-year-old pygmy. We have one entry, Reese Beaver.
Reese is going to get to do the walk with his doe. Beautiful little pygmy.
We have a single entry in this class, a doe that's strong on those feet and legs. She walks very squarely on those feet and legs. I'd like to see a little more smoothness of blending from that neck into that shoulder, setting into the top of the shoulders and the withers. But I really admire the depth of body and body capacity on this doe. And the mammary system, she's holding a lot of capacity. I'd like to see a little bit more attachment overall, but she has shown us quite a bit of capacity today.
First place goes to Reese Beaver. We're now ready for class 26, which is 3 and under 4 Boer does. We have 2 entries, Zeke Dillon and Henry Schutte.
So we're waiting for the rest of them to come in, I do believe. These classes are small. I think we have one more class after this will be class 28. And that will be pygmies, I do believe. Yes. So after this class of Bordeaux, we have a class of pygmies, and then we'll be ready for our senior doe awards. Grand Champion Senior Doe and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Doe. So we have Henry Schutte, it looks like, and we have Zeke Dillon. I'm not for sure if Charlie will be coming in with a doe. I would say the class is close, so it's going to be between Henry and Zeke on this one. These does are 3 years old up to 4 years old. In the show world, we would say 36 plus. And she's made her decision.
In this class of Bordeaux, both these does have a lot of trade-offs. But today I'm going to go with a doe that's a little more sound on those feet and legs. She's straighter in the forelegs. She's stronger in the area of the passer and sits on those hooves just a little bit better than we see in our second place doe. We are going to yield the depth of body, especially into that rear flank on our second place doe. But 1/2, again, for those feet, she's a little bit stronger in the area of the chine than we see in our second place doe, and just a tidbit more, has more width into the area of the brisket than we do see on our second place doe. Our second place doe, again, I really admire the depth of body, especially into that rear flank. We're just not quite seeing the width into that area of the rump, and we're not quite seeing the soundness on those feet and legs that we do see on this first place doe.
First place goes to Henry Schutte, and second, Zeke Dillon. We're now ready for class 28, which is 4 years and under 5-year-old pygmy does. We have 4 entries: Ariana Thomas, Chloe Kramer, Reese Beaver, and Ty Pratt.
This is our last class before we do the grand drive for senior does, and then we will get into our group classes, and we have several in our group classes. We have Get of Sire, which is 3 does with the same sire. We have Produce of Dam, which is 2 does with the same dam, and we have the mother and daughter. So we have entries in all of those. And in our pygmy classes, we have 1 group of Get of Sire. Well, I take it that we have 3. We have Pratt, Thomas, and the Kramers are in that. So we do have all those group classes before we get to meat wethers and pygmy wethers. So we've got a few more classes to go. Glad you've joined us today on WTRE Broadcasting, live from the Decatur County Fairgrounds. We have lots of wonderful sponsors who have allowed us to be here. So I've played their commercials throughout the show. So I hope that you at least tell them thank you when you go in and patronize those businesses. Would like to thank Wessler Excavating, Dillon Family Farm, Dillon Acres, KECMR, Hillbilly Corner, Lowe's Pellets and Grain, Rural King, Tub Creek Farm, Max and Claire Thompson, in memory of Becca Wessel, and Diamond B. Boar Goats Stellars Showstock for providing prizes for our 4-H'ers today at the end of this exhibition. So we would like to thank all of those businesses for participating and making sure that our 4-H'ers get prizes and trophies and banners. All of those things are what counts for them for all of their hard work. So it looks like Ty and Reese have flip-flopped on this one.
Our first place doe showing us just a little more width throughout, especially across that top line and in between those hind legs. She tracks with more ease on all 4 legs than we do see on our second place doe. 2/3, this doe here shows us just a little more width. She's more smoothly blended from that neck into that shoulder set, with a little less spacing up into the shoulders and the withers than we do see on our third place doe. Our second place doe, I would like to see a little more angulation into that hind leg, give her a little more smoothness in that walking that we do see in our first place. 3/4, this doe here, more smoothly blended throughout, walks with a little more ease on those feet and legs, more square on those feet and legs than we do see on our 4th place doe. Our 4th place doe, I do want to commend her for her depth of body and body capacity. I would just like to see more smoothness of blending throughout and a little more width and length of body to move her any higher today.
In this class, first place goes to Ty Pratt, second, Reese Beaver, third, Ariana Thomas, and fourth, Chloe Kramer. We are now ready for 5 years and older Bordeaux. We have one entry in class 32, Charlie Kramer. Following this class, we will need all first and second place entries for the selection of Grand Champion Senior Does. We'll start with the Pygmy Championship.
You want to go see the pigs? Single entry in this class. I really like this doe, aged doe, 9 years old. She's had a lot of miles on her, but she's still holding up strong. She's strong on those feet and legs. She's nice and solid. She walks around with ease. She's showing a tremendous amount of body capacity. Like to fill her out a little bit more, especially across that top line. But when you get your hands on this doe, she's showing us a lot of width throughout today.
First place goes to Charlie Kramer. We are now ready for our Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Pygmy Does. So if we can have all first and second place entries in the ring, and then we'll move to our Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Bordeaux following that.
Do we have group classes with these?
So we are ready for our Grand Champion Senior Pygmy Doe and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Pygmy Does. And all of these that are Grand Champion or first and second in the classes belong to either Ty Pratt or Reese Beaver. So they just have all kinds of help with them.
We have our lineup out here for our Grand and Reserve Pygmy Senior Does. Our first place does here, we're seeing the ease of movement in those feet and legs. They're sitting squarely on those feet and legs. When you get your hands on them, you get over top of them, and they're showing quite a bit of width into that chest floor. It goes across that top line and into the area of their rump. They're carrying a lot of body capacity on them, but they're carrying it well. They're still strong on those pasterns as they track around the ring. But there's one doe that's just a little more smoothly blended from that neck into that shoulder set. She is carrying excess weight, but she's still walking very smoothly, and that is going to be my younger doe at the end of the line for my Grand today. And as we pull her out, we take a look at the doe that stood second to her. And again, I'm going to go with a doe that, again, is walking with ease. She's walking on all four squarely. When she stops, she's square on those feet and legs. She's got that smoothness of blending from that neck into that shoulder set, the levelness across that top line, especially in the area of the chine. And so for my reserve, I'm going to come up to the head of the doe and use my aged doe for reserve.
Our Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Pygmy Doe both go to Ty Pratt. Congratulations, Ty. We're now ready for our Grand Champion Senior Bordeaux. We'll need all first and second place entries in the ring.
And what a way for Ty to end his career in 4-H by having reserve, Grand and reserve pygmy doe. He is a 10-year 4-H member, so this will be his last 4-H. So now we are setting up for our Grand and Reserve Grand Champion Senior Bordeaux. So we have does by Ariana Thomas, Lainey Ferris, Henry Schutte, Zeke Dillon, and Charlie Kramer. Those are our top 5 senior does. When does are of this age, you want to make sure that they're sound, feet are sound, and top lines are sound. It's really easy for them to kind of get catawampus when they get older, but they're of still good quality, they can still breed. And I think she's made her decision already.
We have our lineup out here for our senior Bordeaux. Our first place lineup here, we have an age doe at the head of the line, beautiful, strong on those feet and legs still, strong in those pasterns. She's sitting on those feet squarely. She's carrying a tremendous amount of body capacity, a lot of length of body. I would like to see a little more width across the area of that loin on her though, and have her filled out a little bit more. Then we have our doe in the center of the ring, not quite as structurally balanced that I would like to see, but she is stronger on these feet and legs. She has shown us a lot of width, especially in the area of the rump. And then we have our young doe at the end of the line, showing us a lot of width into that chest floor, a tremendous amount of width across that top line, especially in the area of the loin, and it goes into the area of the rump as well. For my grand champion today, I'm going to go with a doe that is filled out a little bit better. She's wider across that loin. She's wider into that chest floor. And that's going to be my young doe at the end of the line today. And as we pull her out, we take a look at the doe that stood second to her. And again, I'm going to use a doe that's stronger on those feet and legs, especially in the area of the pastern. She's sitting on those feet just a little bit more correctly. She's shown us a tremendous amount of depth of body, and that's going to be my age doe for my reserve today.
Thank you.
So we have Ariana Thomas with Grand and Charlie Kramer with reserve.
Congratulations. Our Grand Champion Senior Bordeaux is Ariana Thomas, and our Reserve Grand Champion Senior Bordeaux is Charlie Kramer. Congratulations. All right, we are ready to start our Boer group classes. Boer group classes, we're ready for that. Class 25 is a get of sire. It's 3 does with the same sire. We have 3 entries: Chloe Kramer, Zeke Dillon, and Xander Dillon.
So we're looking at these, that 3 does with the same sire. So they're all family groupings. So it looks like Zeke Dillon will take first. Xander will have second. No, I take that back. Xander is first.
Face
Zeke
this
is
way.
second. And Chloe Kramer will be coming in third with Get of Sire.
There you go. In this group class, one placing over two, we have a set of does here that are very similar across the board. We're seeing the strength in the feet and legs. We're seeing the levelness across that top line, the strength in the area of the chine. We're seeing quite a bit of depth of body and width throughout. All 3 of these does are kind of cookie cutter all the way across. 2 over 3 this class here. We have 3 does that are kind of similar. The one in the middle, not quite as balanced as we see on the 2 does around her for them to move any higher today. And then we have our group in third here. These 3 does, we're not quite seeing the consistency among all 3 of them. I really like their body capacity. We're just not quite seeing that balance to move them any higher today.
So the next thing we'll have is produce of
In
dam.
this group class, first place went to Zeke Dillon, second, Xander Dillon, and third, Chloe Kramer. We're now ready for produce of dam class. We have 4 entries in this produce of dam. Charlie Kramer, Zeke Dillon, Xander Dillon, and Laney Ferris.
And while we get them in the ring, we're going to hear from one of our sponsors.
Halderman Real Estate and Farm Management brings over 90 years of experience and industry knowledge to you and your operation. Whether it's assisting you with selling your farm or providing you with farm management solutions, serving our clients remain our priority. Whether it's equipment, agricultural real estate, recreational real estate, or even that rural residential housing, Halderman can help. Contact us today at halderman.com.
So we have 4 in this produce of dam. Charlie Kramer, Laney Ferris, and Zeke and Xander Dillon. Looks like Charlie is going to be first.
In this group class, one placing over 2, we're seeing the consistency in this group, the levelness across that top line, especially in the area of the chine, the strength in those feet and legs. We are going to yield the overall width throughout to our second pair. 2 over 3, more breed characteristics, correctness, especially in the area of the heads, better shape, cleanliness about that neck. And then we're seeing overall width throughout. We're seeing more balance with this group than we do see in our third place. 3 over 4, this group here, stronger in general appearance. They're stronger across that top line, stronger in feet and legs, longer body does, showing us just a little more consistency between the two. And we have our group in 4th, not quite seeing that consistency or the structural correctness to move them any higher today, but I do want to commend them for their depths of body.
All right, in this class, first place, Charlie Kramer. Second, Xander Dillon. Third, Laney Ferris. And fourth, Zeke Dillon. We're now ready for our last group class for Boers. It's the mother and daughter. We have 4 entries: Ariana Thomas, Charlie Kramer, Zeke Dillon, and Laney Ferris.
So the next one we have, as he said, is mother and daughter. And we have 4 groups in this one. Some familiar faces, as we have a lot of the same 4-H'ers showing the pairs, as they have lots of siblings. After this class, we're going to have our pygmy group class of get of sire, which means it's the 3 does with the same sire. A lot of things happening at the fair tonight. Make sure that you
Several
get out
more
here.
barn prizes to give away. Cassidy Coomer, Daniel Kopinski, Jason Poe, Tanner Coors, Henry Schutte, Charlie Kramer, and Claire Spreckelson. And there are items on the table up here. You have a choice of one.
We have our mother-daughter class out here. One placing over 2. These 2 does are very similar, but we're seeing some strengths coming down from that mother into that daughter. We're seeing the strength in those feet and legs, the levelness across that top line. We're seeing the overall width with this pair, and they're staying the consistency. 2 over 3, a really nice pair here. We're seeing some consistency in body structure, but we're seeing some improvements into the daughter. We're seeing that fullness. We're seeing more width throughout, especially in the chest floor. I would like to see the daughter a little bit cleaner about the neck with less excess weight. But we are seeing the strengths in this pair. 3/4, this pair here, not quite seeing the consistency. We are seeing some strength coming from the dam into the daughter. We're seeing the strength across that top line. The daughter, we're seeing more strength into the area of the chine. We're just not quite seeing that overall width throughout to move them any higher. And then our 4th place group, not quite true to the head and breed characteristics and the color characteristics that we would like to see in this pair, but we are seeing quite a bit of depth of body and length of body on them. We're just not quite seeing that overall width throughout to move them any higher today.
In this class, first place goes to Ariana Thomas, second, Charlie Kramer, third, Zeke Dillon, and fourth, Lainey Ferris. We are now ready for our pygmy group classes. We have one entry. It's a get a sire, and it is a split entry, Pratts, Thomas, and Kramer. You just have one entry on this. Are you tired?
Just a lot. I'm getting that afternoon smoke.
You need something?
All right.
So we have a single entry in our Get a Sire. They are splitting the pot here, as you would say, or splitting the ribbon. Pratt, Thomas,
Single
and
entry
Kramer.
in this class. This class here, we're seeing quite a bit of depth of body capacity among these does. We're seeing the levelness across that top line, especially in the area of the chine. Some of these does I'd like to see a little more smoothness of blending. We have one doe that is showing us quite a bit of smoothness and blending compared to the other two. But across the board structurally, we're seeing quite a bit of consistency with these three.
First place goes to Pratt, Thomas, Kramer entry. Our next class is Produce of Dam. We have one entry, Ty Pratt.
As we say, Produce of Dam is 2 does with the same dam or same mother.
Another single entry in this class, really stylish pair of does here. We're seeing quite a bit of consistency between the two. When they were in class together, there were a lot of trade-offs between these does. They're showing us a lot of width throughout. They're sitting squarely on those feet and legs, and they're showing us the levelness across that top line.
What am I doing?
He's coming. He's going to text me when he gets here. I told him there's at least another hour here. Oops, sorry about that. And yeah, you heard right. There's probably another hour to our goat show yet. We still have all of our weathers to do, so the goat show is always one of the longest shows in the fair, next to cattle and next to swine, and probably next to sheep. So we all have long days. And if you're tired, these 4-H'ers have to be tired. And I know our judge, Kelsey Wobold, is probably tired.
In this group class here, one placing over to really stylish mother-daughter pair here. We're seeing the consistency, the levelness across that top line, the strength in those feet and legs, the smoothness of blending throughout that we don't quite see in our second place pair. Our second place pair, we're seeing the strength in those feet and legs, body capacity. I'd like to see just a little more smoothness of blending in this pair.
In this class, first place, Ty Pratt. Second, Ariana Thomas. Okay, we are ready to start the weather class, meet weather class.
Somebody went out and saw the rides and was so excited.
Class 1,
He's walking around these walls.
2 entries with Grace Nobby, one weighing 33, the other one 43 pounds. Attention in the barn. We are starting the meet classes, so start heading this way. In this class, 2 entries, Grace Nobby, with weighing 33 and 43 pounds. Our next class will be Maddie and Tinsley Broussard.
Once again, we are looking for capacity and meat production. We want them to still be structurally correct, but we want them to have some meat on them, and that's where we are going to get our top of our classes. 33 and 43 are just a bit small for Weathers.
Is that good, babe? In this class of Weathers, one placing over to this first place Weather, showing us more width across that top line, especially an area in the loin. He's carrying just a little bit more muscle mass on him than we do see in our second place Weather. Our second place Weather, I do want to commend him for his length of body. We're just not quite seeing that overall width and muscle mass to carry him any higher today.
In this class, Grace Nobby, first and second. We're now ready for class 2, Maddie Broussard and Tinsley Broussard. Weights are 56 and 58 pounds.
This is the preferred method when you're showing a weather, is called bracing. It makes them tighten up their loins and tighten up their rump muscles so you can truly feel this is probably going to be a flip of a coin with them being so close in weight. There's a 2-pound difference on them.
In this class here of Weathers, one placing over to, I'm going to start with this Weather closer to me. He's shown us just a little more width, especially into the area of the chest, and it follows through across that top line than we do see in our second place Weather. Our second place Weather still holds his own, carrying quite a bit of muscle mass across that top line. We're just not quite seeing as much width throughout to carry him any higher today.
In this class, first place, Tinsley Broussard. Second, Maddie Broussard. We're now ready for class 3. Weights ranging from 72 to 76 pounds. We have 5 entries: Luke Cathy, Evan Kors, Nora Amberger, Brooklyn Robbins, and Ariana Thomas, ranging 72 to 76 pounds.
So traditionally, wethers are shown without horns. We do have two that are horned in here, but a traditional wether will be dehorned. I guess we have three that are horned in here. So we don't want them to have horns. And the preferred method is bracing when you are showing them. This is our biggest wether class. So she is checking their gait or how they walk right now and the muscle expression that they have as they walk. Just because they are a meat animal does not mean that you don't want them structurally correct. So you want them to gait well, walk well. We're also looking for some width. And we're looking for muscle expression. I think she is placing from 5th to 1st, but I'm not sure. So I think she's about made her decisions. And we'll see if she's happy with them. As she looks down over their top lines, I think she is happy with where she's at.
In this class of wethers, one placing over to a longer bodied wether, he's shown us just a little more width and a little more muscle mass across that top line than we do see in our second place. Our second place, I am going to commend him for the width of that chest. We're just not quite seeing that length of body and the muscle mass across that top line to move him any higher. 3/4, this wether here shown us more overall width, especially in the area of the brisket, than we do see in our 4th place wether. 4/5, this wether again is showing us more overall width, especially across that top line. And when you get behind these two wethers, he's shown us more shape into that hip than we do see in our 5th place wether. Our 5th place wether, I do commend him for the length of body. We're just not quite seeing the overall width and muscle mass to move him any higher today.
In this class, first place, Ariana Thomas. Second, Brooklyn Robbins. Third, Luke Cathy. Fourth, Evan Kors. And fifth, Nora Amberger. Class 4, ranging from 80 to 84 pounds. We have 4 entries. Xander Dillon, Chloe Kramer, Sam Cathy, and Will Cathy.
So, looks like we have 4 in this one. While we're waiting for them to come in, let's have a break for one of our sponsors who is helping us broadcast this live from the fair.
Decatur County Fair livestock shows are proudly sponsored by The Beach Restaurant. Located on the west side of the square, The Beach Restaurant is the only veteran-owned business on the square and is fun for the whole family. Come on out and try one of their famous tenderloins and, on Fridays, sing your heart out at karaoke. The Beach Restaurant, proudly veteran-owned, family, and community-oriented.
And we're back. So we have 4 in this class. They range from 80 to 84 pounds. The lightest being 80 pounds, and the other 3 are 84 each. You'll notice that wethers are shaved all the way down into their knees, or hocks, as you want to say. We want to get them just to show their muscles. Show expression. We want them to track well, that's for sure. So we have in this class Xander Dillon, Chloe Kramer, Sam Cathy, and Will Cathy. Okay, now she's deciding who's going where. So we have maybe Chloe Kramer in first, Xander in second. And then
in this sport class, one placing over 2. I would like to clean him up around his neck. He's got a little bit more skin than I would like. Clean him up a little bit on that front end. But he has shown us more width throughout, especially in the chest floor. You get your hands on him. He's shown us more width across the area of the withers, and it follows through into the area of the rump than we do see in the wethers that stand behind him. 2 over 3, this wether is just a little more balanced. He's more level across that top line, showing us a little more width, a little more muscle mass across that top line than we do see in our 3rd place wether. 3 over 4, again, a wether that's showing us more shape into the area of the rump, more width into that area of the rump than we do see in our 4th place wether. Our 4th place wether, I do admire his depth of body and length of body. We're just not quite seeing that muscle mass and width throughout to carry him any higher today.
In this class, first place, Chloe Kramer. Second, Xander Dillon, third. Will Cathy, and fourth, Sam Cathy. We're now ready for Class 5. 3 entries weighing from 87 to 89 pounds. Zeke Dillon and Arden Muckerhide with 2 entries.
As we said, now we're getting into what we would call the upper weights of Weathers. 87 to 89 pounds. I will say Arden does a good job of showing her Weathers. I've been quite impressed with her bracing ability. So only 2 pounds separates these 3 Weathers. Zeke's is the high one with 89 pounds, and Arden's both weigh 87. It's important that when Weathers get this big that they stay fresh. It's easy for them to be what we call overdone or too finished. So that will be the sticking point for these Weathers, is that they are staying fresh and not overdone. You will notice that some of them are using halters and some are using chains around their neck. Halters are becoming more acceptable in the weather world. You have more control over their head, especially when you go to brace. Arden's Weather's just not really having it right now. So Arden takes first and second in this class, and Zeke comes in third.
In this class of Weathers, one placing over to a Weather that's shown us more overall width, especially across the area of the withers. He has more width across that loin, more length in that loin than we see in the Weathers set behind him. And when you get behind this guy, he's showing us more shape into the area of the rump and those hind legs than we do see in our second place Weather. 2 over 3, a Weather that again is showing us more length of body. He's showing us more width throughout, especially in the chest floor, than we do see in our third place. Our third place Weather, I do want to admire his depth of body and levelness. We're just not quite seeing that overall width and muscle mass to carry him any higher today. Baby.
In this place and second place, Arden Muckerhide, and third place, Zeke Dillon. We're now ready for Class 6, which is 90 to 92 pounds. We have 2 entries, Lainey Ferris and Jason Poe. We have one more meet class after this one. We'll be moving into the Pygmy Weather classes.
Once again, as I said, when we get to them being this big, it's important that they stay fresh and that they're not overdone. We are up into the 90 and 92 pound range. So we're going to take a walk. two very nice dappled weathers.
In this class of weathers, one placing over to this weather here, shown as more width throughout, especially across the area of the top line. He's filled out a little bit more in the area of the loin than we do see in our second place weather. Our second place weather, I do want to commend him for that length of body. We're just not quite seeing that width across that top line to move him any higher today.
We are coming up on two.
Our last meat goat class is class 7. 2 entries weighed from 95 and 97 pounds. Arden Muckerhide and Charlie Kramer. Following this class, we'll need all first and second place in the ring for the Grand Champion meat weather.
So we have 2 in this class. Charlie and Arden. Can't see it, but Arden's weather is giving her a little bit of a fit right now. He said, it's late in the day and I'm just not having this. Taking our stroll, and she will place them where they're at, and then we will go for the Grand Champion Market Weather and the Reserve Grand Champion Market Weather. Some of these showmen have been working all day with these goats, and they are getting tired. I know Kelsey, our judge, has to be tired. For those of you who don't know Kelsey Wobolt, 10-year 4-H member from Decatur County at one time, North Decatur FFA, and she now lives in Greenwood. Went to Western Kentucky University, Animals Dairy Science degree. Has raised both Nubians and boars. Has judged lots of county fairs this year. So not a stranger to this world. And it looks like she's got them placed.
In this weather class, one placing over to, we're going to start off with a longer bodied weather. He's shown us more width into that chest floor. And when you get over top these two weathers, he's shown us more width across the top of those withers than we do see in our second place weather. Our second place weather, I really like the depth of body on this guy. Wish he was a little bit longer loined. But both these weathers are showing us a tremendous amount of that muscle mass across the body.
In this class, first place, Arden Muckerhide. Second, Charlie Kramer. We're now ready to have all of our first and second place winners in the ring for our Grand and Reserve Grand Champion Market Weather.
And so as they get those ready, let's have another spot from one of our sponsors, and they'll have those placed, and we'll be right back.
Halderman Real Estate and Farm Management brings over 90 years of experience and industry knowledge to you and your operation. Whether it's assisting you with selling your farm or providing you with farm management solutions, serving our clients remain our priority. Whether it's equipment, agricultural real estate, recreational real estate, or even that rural residential housing, Halderman can help. Contact us today at halderman.com.
And we're still placing them and getting them in the spots. We have several classes that we need to do to get them in there. There were 7 weather classes. At the conclusion of today's show, the 4-H'ers will come back in the ring to receive their trophies and banners. So those are provided by Wessler Excavating, Dillon Family Farm, Dillon Acres, KECMR Goats, Hillbilly Corner, Lowe's Pellets and Grain, Rural King, Tub Creek Farm, Max and Claire Thompson, Anita and Mike Wessel in honor or in memory of Becca Wessel, and Diamond B Boar Goat Stellar Showstock. So now we have all of our first place weathers in line. Now it's just a matter of figuring out who's going to be our overall grand champion. It doesn't have to be the biggest, and it doesn't have to be the smallest. If it has all the components of a weather, that's what you're wanting. The smoothest of top line, muscle expression, length of loin, depth of body. We're looking for all of those things when it comes to a weather. For many of these 4-H'ers, this is a year-long project, not the weather part, but goats in general. Many will start planning for 4-H next year tomorrow after they have figured out how they place today. And there are some really good looking weathers in that first line. She's looking back at them all for those that can keep them controlled. As I said, these 4-H'ers are tired. Some of them were in the morning show. Some of them just started showing at 1:20. It's already been 3 hours. So they're getting tired. And we know our judge is getting tired. After this, we'll be doing the Pygmy Weather class. We have 2 classes. Unlike the meat goat weathers, pygmies can be shown over a year old. They are not sold as market animals. They're just known as weathers. A lot of them are pets and companion animals, so it's a different type of thing. Kelsey's having a difficult time figuring out who she wants. She wants the freshest weather that she sees. One that meets all of her criteria as well as breed standards. So it looks like she's going for the microphone. Let's see what she says.
we have our lineup out here for our Grand and Reserve Champion Boar Weathers. As we look through this lineup, we see a lot of weathers that are correct on their feet and legs. They're correct across that top line. They're showing us a lot of width into that area of the chest, width across that area of the shoulder. But as we get towards kind of the heavier side of the classes, we start to gain a little bit of that fat on these, and then we kind of lose that muscle mass and fat ratio that we're kind of wanting on these guys because they're a little too overdone. I still really like these guys. They are showing us quite a bit of muscling across that top line, a lot of width across that top line, but they're carrying just a little bit too much fat that I would like to see on these weathers for the fair, because we are looking at them for market. As we get towards the middle of the ring, again, we are seeing weathers that are showing us the width and length into that loin. But again, we're seeing weathers that are carrying just a little bit too much belly on them than what I would like to see. As we get towards the end of the lineup here, again, we're seeing weathers that are strong on those feet and legs. Not quite as balanced as I would like to see, but we do have a pair of weathers that are showing us that balance throughout. They're showing that muscle mass. They're carrying that muscle deeper into that hind leg and into that hock area. They're carrying that muscle mass across that top line and especially into that shoulder set. And for my Grandin Reserve, I'm actually going to use a pair, and that's going to be the pair second to the end of the line today.
Congratulations, our Grand Champion Meat Weather goes to Tinsley Broussard, and our Reserve Grand Champion Meat Weather goes to Maddie Broussard. Congratulations. We're now ready for our Pygmy Weather classes. We have two. We have 0 to 1 year old, and then we have 1 year and older. So our first class up to 1 year old is Ariana Thomas and Chloe Kramer.
So as I said, you don't have to be the biggest in the class to win. So now we are looking at our pygmies. Pygmies are for weathers are considered pets or companion animals. So these are 0 to 1 years old, and more than likely they'll come back next year and be in the 1 year and older category. At the conclusion of the Pygmy Weather, we're going to have our market dam, and we have 3 entries in the market dam. So we'll have Pygmy Weather.
Just a reminder that we need pictures of the Boer Meat Weathers. They're doing that now. We'll need those for the auction, please. So they're taking meat weather pictures at this time.
In this class of Pygmy Weathers, one placing over to this weather is a little bit older. He stands a little more square on his feet and legs, more width throughout, especially across that top line. It is a little more well balanced than we see in our second place weather. Our second place weather, I do want to commend him for the strength in feet and legs. We're just not quite seeing that depth of body and overall width to carry him any higher today.
All right, in this class, first place, Ariana Thomas. Second, Chloe Kramer. We are now ready for class 2, which is 1 year and older. We have 4 entries: Ariana Thomas, Charlie Kramer, Reese Beaver, and Ty Pratt.
Not yet. He's almost done. Not yet.
We'll be getting ready for our commercial weather show. On our commercial weather, we have class 1, 2 entries, Caroline Schutte and Henry Schutte. And then we also have a market dam class. Xander Dillon and Zeke Dillon. We'll have to have those up on deck, please.
So I was wrong. I thought we went right to market dam. So we do have a commercial weather class as soon as the pygmy weather concludes. So we have Ariana Thomas, it looks like, and we have Reese and Ty in. At the conclusion of this class, then we will have Grand Champion Pygmy Weather and Reserve. Oh, here comes Charlie. One more. So now we have a class of 4. So we have Ariana Thomas, Charlie Kramer, Reese Beaver, and Timothy Pratt. As I said, pygmy weathers can be shown a year, 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't really matter as long as they're still holding their breed conformation. They're just considered older weathers. Usually they're pets or companion animals. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us on our broadcast today. It has been a long day for a lot of us. We want to thank Max and Claire Thompson. They are the project leaders.
We have some more barn prizes. Kennedy Sundle, Lainey Ferris, Macy Leak, Landon Badel, and Zeke Dillon. Prizes up here on the table.
We also want to congratulate our 10-year GOAT members, William Cathy, Charlie Kramer, Michael Kopinski, Ty Pratt, and Claire Spreckelson. Congratulations for having 10 years in the GOAT project. And we want to welcome first-year members, Nolan Clark, Riley Denton, Ava Doig, Evan Kors, Chase Moeller, Levi Nobby, Jason Poe, Reed Whipple, and Xander Dillon. So they are all first-year members. So next year they will have one more year of experience on them showing goats. We hate to lose our 5 seniors. And it looks like Kelsey has made her decision on her pygmy weathers.
In this class, 1 placing over 2, really tight placing between these 2, but 1 over 2, he's shown us just a little more width throughout, especially into the area of the chest. He sits a little more squarely on those feet and legs than we do see in our second place weather. 2 over 3, a little more smoothly blended in that front end, especially across that top line. Sits a little more squarely on those feet and legs with more width into the area of the chest than we do see in our third place weather. 3 over 4, bigger bodied weather, showing us a lot more width throughout, especially across that top line than we do see in our 4th place weather. Our 4th place weather, I do want to commend him for his body capacity and depth of body. We're just not quite seeing the width and squareness throughout to place him any higher today.
Okay, in this class, first place went to Reese Beaver, second, Ty Pratt, third, Charlie Kramer, and fourth, Ariana Thomas. We now need all first and second place in for our Grand and Reserve Grand Champion Pygmy Weather. I also have more barn prizes. Caitlin Badel, Sam Cathy, Luke Cathy, Reese Beaver, Nora Amberger, and William Cathy.
buckets are gone.
So she is looking at her first and second place weathers from 0 to 1 and 1 year and older.
We have our lineup out here for our Grand and Reserve Champion Pygmy Weathers. Our first two first place out here, we're seeing the levelness across that top line. We're seeing the width into the chest, the strength in those feet and legs. But today for Grand, I'm going to come up and use my older weather. He's just showing us more maturity, more overall width, especially into that chest floor and across that top line today. And as we pull him out and we take a look at the weather that stood second to him, again, we're seeing another weather that's very comparable to our Grand Champion with the width of the chest, width across that top line, the depth of body, especially into that rear flank. And I'm going to stay within that class for my reserve today.
Our Grand Champion goes to Reese Beaver. Our reserve Grand Champion goes to Ty Pratt. Also, the Old Timers Adult Showmanship sign up is by the big doors between this building and the Goat Barn. So far, people that are signed up: Jude Beaver, Stacy Schutte, Emma Nobby, Lizzie Nobby, Ashley Dillon, Macy Kinker, Katie Spreckelson, Melly Collin, Allison Nobby, Brady Stewart, and Rick Nobby. It's $5 to dominate and $10 to get out of it.
Reserve ribbon. Can I just go to the office and get them?
Now doing commercial weathers, we have Carolyn Schutte and Henry Schutte at 67 pounds and 60 pounds.
We are now doing a commercial weather. We have one class on this. One entry, Caroline Schutte with 67 pounds. Henry Schutte with an entry of 60 pounds. And we only have these two, so one will be Grand and one will be Reserve Champion. Our Market Dam is up next. We have two classes, Zeke and Xander Dillon.
In this class of market weathers, one placing over to a little bit shorter body than our second place weather, but he's shown us more strength across that top line. You get your hands on him. He's shown us more width throughout, especially in the area of the loin. He's giving us more muscle density into that area of the loin than we do see in our second place weather. Our second place weather, I do want to commend him for his length of body. We're just not quite seeing that width across that top line and that shape into that hind leg set and area of the rump that we do see in our first place today.
Do what? So Henry Schutte with first.
In this class, first place and Grand Champion Commercial Weather goes to Henry Schutte. Our second place, Caroline Schutte, also Reserve Grand Champion Commercial Weather. Congratulations. We're now ready for Market Dam class. Class 1, Xander Dillon. Our next class has 2 entries.
class, really stylish market doe here. She's shown us a lot of width, especially into that chest floor, and it goes all the way across that top line, and really nice shape into the area of the rump, into that hind leg today.
First place, Xander Dillon. We're now ready for our last class of the day, Class 2, weighing 83 and 84 pounds, Zeke Dillon and Xander Dillon. Following this class, we will select the Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Market Dam. Hello. Yes. Hey. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. That will work great.
We want to thank you for joining us today. This is our last class. Once we have Grand Champion Market Dam and Reserve Grand Champion Market Dam, we are done with the GOAT program. So thank you for joining WTRE on our live stream. It's been a long day. Seen a lot of goats. Thank you to Kelsey Wolbalt, and thank you to Max and Claire Thompson for being the project leaders. Thank you to all of our sponsors, whether they provided airtime for WTRE or they provided prizes for all of our 4-H'ers. We would like to thank all of them.
Grand and Reserve Grand, and then it will be time for the Cloverbud Showmanship class. Cloverbud Showmanship class, you need to get ready for that. And then it will be the Old Timer Showmanship, and then they'll have all 4-H'ers in the ring to give out the awards for today.
In this class of market does, one placing over to this doe here, showing us a lot of bone substance throughout. You get your hands on her. She's shown us quite a bit of length and width across the area of the loin. She's carrying more muscle mass across that loin than we do see in our second place doe. Our second place doe, I am going to commend her for the width of that chest. We're just not quite seeing the length in that loin, length of body, and that muscle mass across that top loin and into that hind leg that we do see in that first place doe.
All right, at this time, we have our first and second place entries in. Selection for Grand and Reserve Grand Market Dam.
ready to make her final decision.
All right, for our Grand and Reserve market does out here, these two first place does, we're seeing quite a bit of width into that chest floor, and it goes all the way across that top line. They're showing quite a bit of width and muscle mass across that the area of the loin and into the area of that rump, and showing us that nice shape into that hind leg that we see on these two does. But today I'm going to go with a doe that's a little more balanced throughout. She's a little bit longer bodied, a little bit bigger boned doe, just showing us just a little more width across that top line, and that is going to be my red-headed doe here at the head of the line for my Grand. And as we pull her out, we take a look at the doe that stood second to her. Again, I'm going to use a doe that's a little more balanced. She's showing us just a little more width throughout, a little more shape into that area of the rump, into that hind leg. And I'm going to use my paint doe at the end of the line for my reserve.
Grand and Reserve Grand went to Xander Dillon for the Market Dam class. Congratulations.